please join me with our opening meditation song, We Are One, on page 28 of our songbook. We are one with each other as we share the love of the Christ within. We now open our hearts and our minds to receive. We are open, ready, willing, accepting, receiving our And so, as we come together on this beautiful Sunday morning in September, on the 4th, we give thanks for our time together, for this beautiful day, and for this beautiful service. We claim inspiration and love and peace and joy for this day. And so it is, so we let it be. Amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Mary Ann Kelly, and I'll be your leader for today. And I welcome each and every one of you. The teaching of the inner Christ, as you may or may not know, I'm pretty sure you probably pretty much know, is a non-profit, non-denominational spiritual teaching that helps everyone who so desires in reaching that spirit, that center of divinity within, that helps us to know our true nature, our true self, connects us with our Christ self, our I am self, our higher nature. It gives us our individual and universal identification. And so, we invite you all, we welcome you all, and we know that we're going to have a good day today. We especially would like to welcome our internet people. We welcome our video audience. And if you're not in the San Diego area, we want to offer to you online classes. In fact, we have one coming up on the, I believe it's the 13th of February. Let's see. That's it. 12th. Excuse me. The 12th of September. The 13th of February is another thing. The 12th of September at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That would be 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern time. So, inner sensitivity is our basic course where we do make that contact, where we learn different techniques of meditation and all kinds of wonderful things like that. And you can find us at www.teachingoftheinnerchrist.org. And if you look under the Outreach Online Ministry, you'll find us there, and you'll be able to register for those classes. Now, I would ask if you would each check any devices that you might have, your cell phones, and make sure that they're either turned off or silenced. That would be great. And that way we won't have any wonderful music that's not scheduled.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we do here at the Teaching of the Inner Christ, we are big believers in the power of prayer, the power of our word in prayer. And I would like to ask, are there any demonstrations that anyone would like to share this week? Yes, Richard.
Well,
Reverend
I got
Richard.
a great new roommate moving in.
Oh, wow.
A few days, so
New
I'm
roommate.
excited. She's a evangelical Christian.
Wow.
She's an Army veteran. She's on fire for God.
Wow.
She'll be a great person in my house.
Thank you, God.
Yeah.
A new roommate. Yes, Elizabeth.
And
Elizabeth
I was,
Craven.
yeah, I was praying for my daughter, Carrie, to find a perfect place to live, where she could keep her animals. She has a dog, 2 cats, and a bird. And she'd been living with her mother-in-law, but that was changing. So, I said in the San Marcos, Vista, Escondido, any of those areas, And she found one, and she got moved in this last weekend. And it's a little house. She doesn't have a lot of space in her room because she's sharing it with other people. But there's a huge backyard for her dog to run and run and run around. And they took in the cats and the bird.
There you go.
It's kind of hard to find a place when you have that many pets.
Yes, indeed. Thank you,
Not,
God.
not when you pray about it.
There you go. God has a way. Yes, indeed. Well, are there any others? Well, we know that prayer works. We'd like to invite you to notice in your programs this morning, there's a little form. It's a prayer request form. And if you have any prayers that you would like to have help with, we have a prayer circle. We have actually 2 prayer circles. One we have online, and you can find that in prayer help online, www.teachingoftheantichrist.org. And then there's this form here for those of you who are local. If you'd like to fill this out and put it in our prayer request box back here, our prayer circle, we'll pray on that for 2 weeks. And then what you can do is you can let us know how it's going, how it manifests, or if you'd like us to continue, or if you'd like a new prayer treatment, then you can let us know. A little later on in the service, we'll be doing a prayer treatment for everyone here and in our audience on our heart's true desires. So we'll do that a little bit later on. And now we have a group song. If you'll turn in your songbooks to page 1, and then if you'd like to stand up, we'll all sing together, God of Love. Please be seated. Thank you. We did pretty good on that one. Thank you, God. Well, we have some center events coming up. After service today, there will be a Love Power Circle. And that's where a group of people get together, people who have graduated intersensitivity, get together and channel love out to our world. And we know that our world can really use it right now especially. So, what a pleasure to do that. And then next week, we have the board meetings. The LBR, the Local Board of Regents, and the International Board of Administration will meet next week at 12:15. So if you have any concerns or if you'd like to make some suggestions about the teaching of the Antichrist, please see our representative, Judy Holmes. Judy, would you stand up and so we can see who you are, so we know who to come to? Thank you, Judy. And then the following week we have a special guest speaker. He's a motivational speaker. He's an author. He's just an exciting person. He's a retired minister of the Unity Church. It's Reverend Arthur Hammond will be here. So you won't want to miss that. Then, the following week, we have a wonderful all-music service. So if anyone wants to participate in that, you need to, oops, it's all closed out now? No more room at the end? Would you like to say a little bit more about it, Reverend Caleb?
Well, we're so blessed because we've got such an abundance of talent. You know, God is so good. And most of you remember Tammy, who was our piano player for several years. Her mother is coming down from San Pedro in order to share her talent with us. So we're looking forward to that. And we have several people that we haven't seen in a while that are going to come and participate. So we're fairly full. So I just need the titles from a couple of the people that are participating. So
Well, we know that that's always an exciting time because
Yes.
the music lifts the world.
Yes,
There you
it
go.
does. So we're going to be sharing God's abundance through music.
Yes, indeed. And that's on the 25th. Also on the 25th, we have a potluck after service and also a birthday cake for the month of September birthdays. So you won't want to miss that Sunday. That's going to be just awesome. The book, we have, as you know, lately we've been featuring some of the books from our bookstore at special. Last month we had a book entitled The Women of Angel Fire, and that was the book by Diane Keyes, and she wrote a trilogy. So this week we have The Gathering of Angel Fire. This is the second book in the trilogy, and this is where all of these women get together, and it's highly inspirational. It's a fun book. It's a book. These books, when I got them, I would sit down and I'd read them straight through, and 2 days later I'm going around like this. They're just wonderful books. So and it's on sale. It's normally $14.95. It will be on sale for $11.96 plus tax, which will bring it to a total of $12.98. And so this is going to be the book of the month for this month. And it says yes, no, maybe, why not? So there you are. There you are. Also starting this month, starting Tuesday, September 6th, that's this Tuesday coming up, we have a prayer therapy class, Prayer Therapy 1. That's the first prayer therapy class for those who are thinking about becoming a prayer therapist. And in this class, what you learn is to pray for yourself. Reverend Brigitte Heimers will be doing that one. And Reverend Brigitte, would you like to say more about your class?
Yeah, start praying. Because when you pray, you get your results.
Mm-hmm.
But in that class, you learn even more how to do it.
Yes, we learned. Well, that's the beginning of the
Right.
whole. Yeah. And of course, we were talking about our intersensitivity class online, starting on the 12th of September at 3 p.m. And that'll be taught by Reverend Mary Ann Kelly, that's me, and leader teacher, Inner Christ counselor, Lenora Withrow. So we'll be happy to see you then. Right now, we have a really special treat, giving an original rendition of her own creation and composition. We have Anne Delamo, our Minister of Music. And Anne, what are you giving to us today?
I'm going to do winter solstice.
Winter solstice,
You
all
know,
right.
when the sun just sort of, we're lucky here because it doesn't, we still get a lot of sunlight, but metaphorically, it's like when you're doing stuff and it's kind of like you clean your house up and you really get it, what you think is really tidy, and then the earthquake comes and it actually looks better afterwards. So it seems like no progress is happening. So we all reach those points where we just get frozen, it seems, or so it seems. So this is about that part of life that we often encounter when we're on a spiritual path or otherwise.
So let's welcome her.
not a sound. Solstice, the edge of the dark turns around. Signpost, every road goes back around. Traveler turns the corner and goes on and on. On and on. On and on. On and on. Deep down, heart of the sun and the moon and the stars, reach down into the heat that goes where you are. Earth time turns like the tide and the wind and the skies. Our time comes with each step as the world spins by and by and by. By and
Wow, that one always brings chills. Our inspirational reading this morning comes to us from one of Catherine Ponder's books, The Prosperity Secrets of the Ages, and this one you can tell has been used a lot. In chapter 1, thought we could start with chapter 1, we find the startling secret about success is that you've probably searched everywhere for it, when in reality, it lies within you. You have the power within you, which you can use to experience your greater wealth, happiness, and prosperity than you have previously known. You can begin releasing that power to produce the greater good in your life and affairs when you realize that your mind is your world. When you rule your mind, you rule your world. When you choose your thoughts, you choose your results. Your world is affected by your thoughts and feelings more fully than you realize. Your world is affected by your likes and dislikes more fully than you realize. When your thinking veers, your life veers. Your thoughts are your greatest power. Your thoughts are your greatest power. Better thoughts will bring better conditions. This is the miracle of your mind power. The startling secret about success is that there are simple attitudes of mind that can help you choose your thoughts and thereby choose your results. Another startling secret is that it is nearer than you think. Indeed, it is what you think. There's more in that book, so if you're interested in it, I'm pretty sure this one, oh gosh, this is an old one. I paid $2.95 for this one. I'm sure it's a little more expensive right now, but anyway, I'm sure we have it in the bookstore, so if you like it, check it out. Our speaker this morning is a lady who knows a lot about prosperity. She's a retired teacher with the Chula Vista Schools, San Diego City Schools? San Diego City Schools. School district, where she taught the little ones. She has taught adult classes and inner sensitivity, and all of the classes that we have in the teaching of the inner Christ on all the levels. She's an exciting lady. She has the most beautiful cat. We call him Roo Cat. I'll explain a little bit more about that later. He's a beautiful, beautiful little boy. She's just a lovely lady. She's filled with prosperity. Her life is filled with prosperity, and anyone who comes in her presence feels that love that she is. She's speaking to us on God desires prosperity for all. Please help me welcome Reverend Elizabeth Brabant.
Still working on this hip. It's going to be perfect soon. It is right now, actually. But I'm going to know it soon, that it's perfect. Okay, well, God gives us many, many good gifts. God gives us the moon and the sun and the stars. He gives us the rain, the plants, the trees, the animals, and other people. He gives us all kinds of wonderful, wonderful gifts. Can you hear me?
No.
Is this on?
Let me move it a little closer.
Just a minute here.
Can we turn it up a little?
Yes, I'll just.
Okay, we're going to turn it up.
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Better. Usually this one doesn't create a problem. It's because you probably turned it down due to the microphone you have, maybe. All right, how is it right now?
Good, better.
Okay. All right, I'll start again since maybe half of you didn't hear that. We have lots of wonderful gifts from God on the earth, like the sun and the moon and the rain and the plants and the trees and the water and animals and people. All kinds of wonderful things that we've been given here on earth, all part of our prosperity. But like all of these wonderful things, God life gives us all kinds of prosperity here on earth. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And there's no lack in God, for sure. God's presence is eternal, and God is always within every cell of our bodies as well. So, this morning, I want to remind you about Psalm 23, which is probably one of our most famous psalms. And I'm going to just say part of it. The Lord is the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. And it goes on with all good things. So, in the Psalms, there are many, many passages of the goodness of God. I use them a lot of times when I'm going to meditate. And there are so many wonderful messages within each one. When you're going to meditate, you can meditate on any psalm and get a complete lesson. But for our prosperity, God's prosperity is for all. I thought that was a good one to start with. And first of all, after that, I'd like to speak about God being our prosperity. Not only does he want prosperity for all, but God is our prosperity. And secondly, we create our reality through our beliefs, thus creating faith. And then thirdly, God leads us to the capital T truth and teaches us. And when we meditate and when we pray, God does so many things for us. So let's start with God is our prosperity. As we accept God's guidance and we experience God in every way, we also achieve success. I really can tie the successes that I've had in my life to my oneness with God. And I think it happened even more after I came to the teaching of the inner Christ. But it started for me when I was a teenager and going to church from age 11 on. Singing in the choirs got me there, but I think God had more of a purpose for me than just singing. So the third thing we're going to talk about today is that truth. God does lead us in that capital T truth and teach us. We're always being taught. There's never a day that I'm not taught something. I don't always give God the credit, but it seems like it is God leading us and teaching us. And so, God being our prosperity, we learn to say yes to God. And we learn how fortunate we are to be in this beautiful, beautiful world. And how fortunate we are always to have here at the Inner Christ, the teaching of the Inner Christ, we learn that our Christ self guides and leads us all the way. So it makes it even easier because we have a wonderful contact. We are enfolded in this divine presence at all times. So I was given an affirmation when I was writing this talk, and it is, I was born to succeed and to triumph in all I do. I'll say it one more time in case any of you want to write it down. I was born to succeed and to triumph in all I do. Okay, as we keep our thoughts centered in God, she was reading about how important our thoughts are. So when they are centered in God or Christ's self, this gives us a different, prosperous life. and we realize that God is truly blessing us with every thought that we think that's good and positive and real and true. Well, secondly, we do create our reality through our beliefs. And our beliefs then form our faith. And faith is very powerful. What we have faith in manifests for us. And faith gives us hope and guides us in whatever we are doing. And whether it is, I know a lot of times when we think about prosperity, we think about growing and having more money and success in that way. And that's certainly one of the issues. But in every way, God guides us and leads us to believe the capital T truth, which gives us a wonderful, wonderful faith. So think of all the ways as we go along that you've been blessed in your life. When I think of those ways, I know that that came from God. It came from prayer, from meditation, from a deep inner knowing as I was connected and unified with my God self, my Christ self, my I am self, which we learn about here at the teaching. So, you might go home and just count your, that song, Count Your Blessings, count them one by one. Well, if we count them and then we thank God for them afterward, it builds our faith. It really does. I had a meditation on that at home, and I have so many blessings. It's just fantastic, all the blessings that are in my life. And certainly when I go over them one by one and thank God for them, it multiplies my blessings, but it multiplies my faith in the goodness of God through me as well. I'd like to read you a little bit from one of our love scriptures, All is Spirit, and it's about faith. They're affectionately known as the pink books, that you will probably hear more often than you'll hear the term love scriptures. God knows the precious potential that you are. And He knows your precious expression. Believe and trust. Trust and believe. This creates faith. Faith may seem elusive or foolish or mere hope, but when you believe in God and yourself and trust God in every situation, then your faith grows. Trust your faith. Have faith in your knowledge that God's power is here for you to tap into, to draw from, to grow with, and to give to others. As you ask and trust your faith, it deepens and broadens, and it becomes easier for you to ask and to trust. Ask and trust, and you will see miracles. We all like miracles. In Psalm 25:5, you may have guessed by now over the years that I love the Psalms. I often will meditate on the Psalms, as I said before, because there is so much to learn from each one of them. But there are many wonderful lessons that we can create our lives anew with. Psalm 25:5 says, quote, "Lead me in the truth and teach me, For you are my God. You are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all day long. End quote. Now, when I was reading this psalm, I decided, hey, that's a good third point to talk about in this. Not exactly the whole thing, but the part where it says lead. So I just changed it from me to us. Lead us in the truth and teach us. And that's the capital T, truth, the absolute perfect truth of God. The truth lives in each one of us, that knowing of God's perfection. The light of God that we see during meditation. How many of you see light when you meditate? Raise your hand if you do. Most of us. And it's different colors often for different people. Mine is usually lavender. But some people say blue, see blue or, green, white, all kinds of colors. It's a very colorful time when you meditate. And that light is wonderful because what it does is it symbolizes the truth, that capital T, truth. So the light brings truth to us that we get during meditation. I had a good sample of that this morning when we meditated in the other room. Reverend Marianne led it. And I went in there and my back was hurting a little bit, my hip was hurting a little bit. By the time I walked out, nothing hurt. I just felt so good. Nothing hurt at all. It's wonderful. Now it's wise to unify with this light because we're really unifying with that capital T truth, which is perfection everywhere now. The truth of God's omnipresence is important. It's knowing that God is everywhere present. And what happens is, as we realize this, we know that God has to be everywhere in our life. And He's everywhere in every cell of our body. We can't go to work without meeting God. We can't go to a movie without knowing God is present. So, it's a wonderful thing to realize. And God, of course, we know is good. And when God is everywhere present, how can there be any lack or limitation? Because God is working through us always. Being everywhere present, God's perfection, of course, fills our minds and our bodies. And so we cannot be sick or wounded. And if we are, then we come back to that perfection as we believe it and have faith in it. Now, I've been working on this, especially this week, because it just came up in the talk. I wonder how. I wonder why. I know why. But what I was inspired to do was to write out on a piece of paper the affirmations that I'm going to do morning, noon, and night. So this is what I wrote, and this is what I leave by my bedside. And if I forget it at noon, then I'll do it another time. But because it's by my bed, it's easy to remember in the morning and in the evening. It says, now this kind of thing can be done, doesn't have to be about your wholeness and health. It can be about your work or your finances or any part of your life. Mine happens to be primarily about healing and health. The only power is the power of God. I know the power of the living God who lives within me. I know the power of my Christ self within me. I know the power of God to love, to forgive, and to light my life. The Christ will restore health, wholeness, and peace to me.